BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all basketball info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds, news, and info for the NBA this year, particularly the NBA playoffs. BetOnline is your sports information headquarters all season. If you love sports info, scores, news, and podcasts, you can find it all on BetOnline. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on all the action. Be sure to use our promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
What's up, H-Town? Welcome to the Believe in Astros podcast, your home for all things Astros, with your hosts, sports writer Jeff Balke and Astros broadcaster and former third baseman Jeff Blom. Now, here's Balke and Blummer.
What is up, Astros fans? Welcome to episode 60 of the Believe in Astros podcast on the Believe Podcasting Network. I'm Jeff Balke, working on less sleep than usual, thanks to a combination of my dogs and late night thunderstorms.
That was a good one that rolled through there, huh?
Yeah, it was a sound and light show that I really enjoyed, but my dog, two of my three dogs, did not. And so I was one of them.
Pups.
One of them was on my head, and the other was basically laying on top of me.
Okay.
Yeah. So while my wife snoozed away. So good for her.
Well,
she got a good night's sleep. Me, not so much. And my partner Jeff Blum is with me from Minneapolis. I'm assuming trying to stave off frostbite at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in an enclosed area as long as I possibly can. We landed, and I don't know if you saw. I didn't take any pictures because Julia. I'm in the same row with Julia. And Julia and TK like the windows, so they're on the window, and they both took pictures, and it's on their Twitter.
I saw her picture yesterday where it's just snow on the ground.
I mean, we went from this lush, tropical environment of Houston where it's gorgeous and green everywhere to this frozen concrete, lack of leaf tundra.
Lack of leaf.
Just, God, dude, it's just all of a sudden you went back in time to somewhere. I don't know, man. We're in Serbia playing this game.
You can get some ice fishing done later.
Yeah,
Maybe
dude, drill a couple holes in the lake.
Catch you some walleye or some pike up there and have them for dinner.
It would be a good dinner. I mean, I wouldn't have to chill my beer and just set it on the curb. Jeez.
Absolutely. We do have a kind of a special episode for you guys today, as we'll be joined by Suzy and Shelby, the hosts of the podcast Bourbon and Baseball, as well as Back That Astros Up. 5-star name.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and of course on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe to keep up with us, and give us a follow on Twitter and now on Instagram at Believe in Astros, as we continue to publish some content, I guess we would call it, and that's what they call it in the social media biz.
In the biz.
You can find me at Jeff Balke. You can find Blummer at Blummer27 all over social media and wherever life may take you. Thanks to everyone who's given us 5 stars and left reviews on Apple. Very nice of you, as always. Keep doing it. If you haven't, you still have time. There's time. Time is not running out on this one. You have plenty of time. You can go give us 5 stars. You can go tell us how lovely we are. It's all up to you. You are the hero in this scenario. Obviously, send us your comments and questions. Question for today. Does this Astros offense scare you in a good way? I have a feeling.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that because, oh man, it feels like a volcano ready to erupt. Yeah. I'm just saying. Blummer,
feels like you just got that first taco into your stomach after a long night of drinking, and you're like, "Ooh, it's starting to grumble." No,
that's not
too much.
That's maybe not how I would have described it, but yeah, 100%, 100% accurate. That is 100% accurate. By the way, if you're feeling like sponsoring a podcast, as we've mentioned before, we are open for business, and so reach out. I've already inquired with a few people, like saying, "Hey, let's see what you got going. Let's see how Blummer and I can pimp your wares." And then let me tell you something. If we get going on a topic, it could go. I mean, like the podcast could just be about you.
Yeah, you definitely could.
It's very possible. We have the tendency to be a little Diarrhea of the mouth on occasion?
Loose.
Yes, loose. That is right. So let us be loose for you. That didn't sound right. I don't like the way that sounded. You can hit us up at believeinaastros@gmail.com, and we will respond accordingly. Blum, I know you're trying to stay warm. Fans want to know, is Julia Morales going to be able to stay warm?
Dude, this is something that started a long time ago with us, and it's the JMI. And what's funny to me is there's people that still tweet at me like, what the heck is a JMI? And I'm like, dude, it is the Julia Morales Index. And if it gets below 65, 70 degrees, you start to panic because she is permanently exposed to the elements. And she's very good at her job and unfortunately is exposed to those elements. And when we get the schedule, usually about a year in advance, she'll be the first one to point out, why in the hell are we going to Minnesota and Pittsburgh in April?
I bet.
And we've had Chicago trips in April, and she's just been like, what the hell is the scheduler doing? And I don't know. I don't know because it's freezing. It's cold. It's gross. Thank God for the day off, by the way. That gets us the opportunity to avoid the 30-degree weather. So now it'll only be 49, but it'll be all right. But yeah, the JMI is definitely that Julia Morales index that we're working around trying to protect.
The JMI, that is always a good thing to know. Well, we are now joined by Shell and Suzy, correct? Am I right? Shelby? I know it's Shelby, but do you go by Shell? Is that right?
Normally not, but you know what? It's we can do it for the podcast. Why not?
Well, welcome to the show.
You know?
Good to know.
You know?
Oh, awesome. That is great. Off to a great start. It's it is.
Did Shelby not fit in the Twitter name? Is that why, Shelby? What's going on there?
I think it's because I'm not as active and I don't use as many emojis on Twitter.
Oh, I see.
That might be what it is.
Okay.
Fair enough. Well, it's 9:15 in the morning, so who cares? At this point, we were just discussing how the JMI, the Julia Morales Index, is on high alert today because they're in Minneapolis and it's a balmy 30 degrees.
Oof.
And look, it's not exactly warm in Houston. The high today is like going to be 58 and it's cloudy and raining. So
I'll take it.
You know.
Yeah, over that Minneapolis weather, yeah, for sure. But it's definitely a little depressing out here in Houston. It's pretty sad.
It's gloomy. It's going to be gloomy all the way through Easter.
Turned into Seattle of the South.
I need to know how many layers you guys usually wear when it's sub.
Especially today, degrees. It's going to be like as Blummer tells me, the Twins have an open stadium. Like, what the hell are they thinking?
Put a roof on it.
I'm so confused.
Exactly. Well, yeah. What are you going to wear today, Blummer, during the game?
So packing is always interesting on these trips.
Right.
I have a legit pair of thermal bottoms. I'll try and be appropriate. Thermal bottoms, pair of pants.
Not for our sake, Blummer. That's not.
No gray sweatpants, I guess.
For the people.
No gray sweatpants, I guess.
Yeah, so I've got thermals that I'm going to wear underneath my pants, and then I've got what is that 32-degree, like that thin layer of like a long sleeve shirt underneath my dress shirt. I have a little cardigan I'm going to wear today, and I've got some 3/4 zips that I'm going to wear the next couple of days, and then I've got this massive overcoat that I'm going to wear, and I will have gloves and a what do you guys call it? A toque, a skull cap, the beanie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to know?
That's not where I was going to go with that.
So you want to know when a player's played in Montreal, they say toque, because I learned that up in Montreal in the days when we wore the beanies. But yeah, now it's a beanie. I'll have a beanie, and I'll be well prepared. And we actually may have the opportunity to close the windows, whereas Julia will not. So
I mean, maybe she needs the Pope's puffy jacket. Like get that big white.
That would be great.
I'm telling you, look, the Pope was pimping. Like, I know it's not real. I know it's AI. Whatever. He should have worn. They should just make that for him, and he should have that on at all times.
Tell me, she has one of those like battery operated heated jackets.
So
with like the power packs and stuff.
I've seen those. I'm not sure if she does, but I know in the past she's actually had a plug-in electric blanket that she's had.
Well, you're sitting down there.
Highly recommend the jacket or the vest. There's vests. Well, they're pretty nice.
Yep. Protect Julie at all costs.
Yeah, if you're sitting down there in the camera well, it cannot be. It's not exactly toasty down there. It's not. I think of the photographers down there too. They must just be. It just must be brutal. It just
they're a little more insulated
not,
than Julia.
It's not fun.
So okay, so I want to plug you guys do Bourbon and Baseball, which is sort of all things baseball, and then you also do Back That Astros Up, which, as we mentioned, 5-star name on that one. That is.
Yeah, we talk about the Mariners on that show just all the time. It's just a Mariners
show. All right, fair enough. So yeah, we're happy you guys have joined us, and obviously you guys are doing this in the morning. Normally, your podcast might involve some alcohol, which is in the evenings, unless you've got a Bloody Mary on you. Probably not the right time.
You know, I don't understand why shots of bourbon at 9 a.m. is, judged.
You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. I mean,
it's a good way to stay warm too.
That is a fair point. That is a fair point. All right. So Blummer and I were just talking a minute ago. I brought this up, and that is, it's the first week of the season for the Astros. There's been some ups and downs. I'll start with you, Blummer. How have you felt about the first week of the season? What are your thoughts on sort of where we are right now and what's been happening from your vantage point?
I'm a no panic guy, but the thing that concerns me a little bit is that the bullpen's beat around a little bit. So actually, with Minnesota canceling this game on Thursday and playing it on Friday, actually did them a favor. But also Christian Javier did him a favor by going 6 innings. So you saw a little bit more of a normal progression. But I think it's a good time to remind everybody that the Astros bullpen is built around starting pitching, going deep. Dusty loves shoving, and pushing these starters into that 6th, 7th inning so you can use those guys for 1 inning and maybe, schedule their outings a little bit better. But coming out of spring training, I can only imagine what's going through Ryan Stanek's head going, I got to go 2 innings my first outing out of spring training. They're not getting prepared for situations like that. So that's the only thing that kind of struck me as, oh no. But that will definitely work itself out throughout the course of the season. I think they have 4 days off. Next 3 Thursdays they're going to have off in the month of April. So that's going to help. The starters are going to get stronger. They're going to be able to go deeper. The other interesting thing for me was actually, Jake Meyers in center field, still splitting time with Chas McCormick, I found interesting. And I also, Corey Julks. Yeah. He looks like a legit hitter right now.
Yes.
And I really like the at-bats he's putting together. And I think you can hide him out there. I don't know how good he is in left field, but I know in Minute Maid Park you can hide him out there a little bit. But that's probably one of the big things for me was watching Corey Julks go out there and have some really nice big league at-bats.
Well, you got to wonder, too. You brought it up, and I'll just interject here. Is it time to to call it on this Jake Meyers thing? Because
I'll let you guys talk about it because I have to go see the guy in about a half an hour, 45 minutes. But you go ahead and let that go because I'm curious about it too.
This is a big point of contention with Shelby and I on our show. I don't get me wrong. I love Jake Meyers. When Jake Meyers came up in 2021, loved him. Loved the guy. When he went into the wall during that White Sox series, my stomach dropped, and I was so sad because he had been that guy. Like we were all impressed with the at bats that he took, his defense, everything. When he came back, he was not the same Jake Meyers. Not the same Jake Meyers, and we can all agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. And he's still not that Jake Meyers. And before it was. I don't think he was he may have physically been back, but he definitely wasn't mentally back. I think he's like 50% back now. And I need 100% Jake Meyers back. And if you're not 100% Jake Meyers, get off the field. Shelby, I need you to come with me on this journey because I need Chas McCormick to be the starting center fielder all the days. But
here's my thing. I don't know if y'all seen I'm pretty passionate about this subject. We went back on Clutch City Cast with Cameron Craig. He came on our show and we started talking about this. And I was like, it's like Hertz and Enterprise, right? I feel like One's Hurts and one's Enterprise. I feel like it's Reynolds. I don't feel like we really have a super solid center fielder like we did with George Springer. So I don't know who we're going to end up getting, but right now Chaz is our guy. I mean, I think he's kind of proved himself. He's had some good at bats right now. But I don't think we have a franchise guy. And I don't know if it's in Pedro Leon. I don't know if he's down there with the Space Cowboys, but
here's my thing though.
Definitely Reynolds.
The quote came out with Dusty saying that, about confidence and, you got to give the boys confidence, whatnot. How? This is not my show, so I'm trying to really refrain from dropping all of the F-bombs.
Hey, we invited you on for a reason. Be you.
Go. Yeah, be you. It's not going to bother me.
How the actual F do you want to talk about confidence? It goes both ways. You want to talk about giving confidence to someone and taking away confidence? Chaz McCormick freaking saved that game, and you're gonna sit here and tell me that he doesn't get opening day? He doesn't get the actual ring day? That Jake Meyers that was sitting on the freaking bench not doing a dang thing? He gets the first 2 games? Cool. I understand right-handed pitching numbers. I get it, okay? I understand. But then when, in the 7th inning, in that first game, when you had a left-handed pitcher come in, why the F is Jake Meyers still out there? Why?
Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, too, because, look, Pedro Leon, I don't know if you looked at his numbers at AAA just this week. He is raking. He is raking.
Yeah, love the guy.
And here's the thing about Leon, too. He raked all of last year at AAA. He is the only reason, and I would contend the only reason he is not on this roster is because of the sports hernia surgery, and he had to recover. And so he missed spring training, essentially. But my guess is if Pedro Leon doesn't miss that time, he's Corey Julks, right? I mean, because he's a substantially better defender, and Julks has been very good hitting the ball. But Leon is a legit outfield defensive threat. In addition to being
someone came out this last week. I wish I could find it on Twitter, but they said when he's on, he's a 5-tool guy. He's legit.
Yeah, he's got an arm. Blummer, let me ask you a question about this. So we'll set Jake Meyers aside for the moment. So we'll try to be genteel.
Could I just kind of, I'm not going to be on the other side of Suzy, but I love the passion of it, and I get it because I was a little surprised opening day. If you're going to throw Chaz a bone and you're going to try and build confidence or instill that idea that we value you as a player, why wouldn't you throw him out there on opening day and let him run to the line and get the adulation that he deserves because of that one catch? He played a phenomenal center field in September all the way through the postseason. To not be able to run out there on opening day, and that's something that means something to me as a player. I only had the opportunity. I think I had 13 straight years of making opening day rosters, which is awesome. But I only had 2 times where I was actually the opening day starter. And that meant the world to me. It was Jimmy Williams and I can't remember the second manager. But when Jimmy Williams in 2003 let me run out to that starting lineup in 2003 for the Astros, I was beyond elated and felt like I accomplished something. So that's where I feel like something got taken away from Chaz because he won that game single-handedly with that grab, played a great center field. Throw him that bone. Just let him have it. Just opening day, go for it.
He left the center field shroud of Turin.
It would have been amazing to see that and hear that, and it would have done wonders for him confidence-wise to hear the crowd behind him.
Right.
Maybe Dusty didn't want to hear that. Get the chomp going, dude. But the other thing is Jake Meyers. They are still trying to find a way to get him back to who he was. And I'm with you in the sense I don't know if he's going to be able to get back there or how long it's going to be because he's very tentative. And I always try and look at things, try to be less emotional. You guys have heard my broadcast. I can get a little crazy sometimes. But Jake Meyers, for me, just watching from a scouting perspective, every runner goes first to third on him, and it drives me absolutely nuts. And that's the part where I want to see you clean it up on defense. Chaz has actually gotten better at that, charging the ball, making strong throws, hitting cutoff men. So you're seeing runners stop. On the offensive side, stop check swinging Jake Meyers. commit. I need to see some commitment in the at-bat and in the swing for him to be better. And I think he would actually be better if he did commit to some of those swings instead of showing me that check swing where he's indecisive. But that's the only thing I want to say about
that indecision.
I know you want to move on. We have time, but yeah.
That indecision is exactly right, though. I mean, that is the lack of confidence. And better to just swing hard and miss than go up there and kind of, check. And the same thing with charging in the outfield. Like, that's an uncertainty thing, right? It's you're not sure where the ball is. You're not sure if you can get it. It's trying to avoid making a mistake, right? And they always, and it's the worst thing you can do.
I mean, that play that he had when don't get me wrong, I love me some Elvis Andrus. But when Elvis Andrus goes first to third on you, Elvis Andrus is not light of foot. How? I was screaming.
Oh, yeah. I was there on opening day and I watched him let it go. I saw it and I was like, I was a couple, Crawford box in and I was like, oh, that wasn't really a let go.
Yeah.
Those are the little things that make championship teams, and you really want to start to earn respect of your peers, especially your pitchers. Stop those guys from going an extra 90 feet.
Well, and that you nailed it. That's the other thing too, is you can try to build back Jake Meyers' confidence, but not on this team. Like, this is a World Series contention team. This is not a team where you futz around and try to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. This is a team where everybody has to pull their weight. That's how they win championships. And if you're not pulling your weight, I hate to be that guy. I hate to be the Patriots guy who just cuts everybody at every random moment. But there is a point where you can't afford lots of losses because of you're trying to see if you can get some guy's confidence back. It's just not, it's unfortunate. I will say though, fortunately, there are a couple of guys seem like they're coming out of slumps. Obviously Alex Bregman never hits well at the beginning of the year. It's just like his thing. It's his brand. And Jeremy Pena finally got off after 0 for 18, gets a dinger. And almost another one came really close, the Crawford boxes. Even without Brantley and Altuve, I feel like this could be, and this is the question I asked earlier, this feels like an offense that has a lot of potential, even without those guys in the lineup. Because let's be honest, God bless Jose Abreu. I mean, like anybody, I as much as I love Yuli Gurriel, and man, I loved Yuli Gurriel, anybody comes to me and says, I wish we had Yuli Gurriel instead of Jose Abreu, I'm having them checked for like mental problems.
Can you just shoot him into the ocean?
I'm just going to have them checked for mental illness.
Well, I mean, and this is just me, like, I expect this guy to hit fucking just absolute missiles, and when he's got a fat chew in his mouth, man, he just, I love it. Like we got the cross tats, and we got a fat chew in there, man. I'm waiting for him to just smoke him over.
He barely has a button on his jersey.
No, that's the thing. He's
love it.
It's like the 70s. Like I expect like a nest of chest hair, like to come out of there with those gold chains, and like I feel like at any moment he's going to bust out into a disco maneuver. It's just, and that crazy like beard that's tied that makes him look like the old wrestling guy. I mean, just he's incredible. And what blows me away about him is that everything everybody talked about with him is exactly what you see from him. Right?
I know.
He hits for average. Yeah. He hits with runners in scoring position. He has power. He's solid at first base. I mean, it's exactly what was advertised, and that doesn't always happen.
Yeah. I was so excited when there wasn't, again, don't get me wrong, I do love me some Yuli, but when there's runners on and he didn't ground into a double play and kill the rally, I'm all, oh, yay! Hooray! Good job, Jose Abreu! It was one of those things. I'm like, oh, Yuli. Like, if we could have postseason Yuli back, that would have been super awesome. But postseason Yuli needs postseason rest, apparently. Yeah. So, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, yes. Not killing the rally. So good.
Yeah, Blummer, what is it about? I mean, is it just like he has a presence, right? Like he's just, Abreu just has this sort of thing that you see from guys. I mean, have you seen that as well? Because it seems like that to me.
Yeah, but, we're talking about Yuli. Don't you feel as if Jose Abreu's maybe a little bit bigger, buffer, dirtier, grimier Yuli? when we first got him. Yuli came over and I was watching him play. He already came with the prowess of being a great Cuban international type hitter, and he showed up and he was that guy again. He was a guy that shot gap to gap, drove the ball nicely, and drove in some big runs. And now you've got a guy in Jose Abreu where he spent 9 years with the White Sox. He's 2 or 3 years removed from an MVP in 2020. I know it was a shortened season, but he's been a perennial RBI guy. And everything I've seen with the work ethic, he fits in this clubhouse. He says the right things. I think he's been a huge benefit for Yordan Alvarez, believe it or not. I think he's a little bit of a comfort blanket for him. And they've had their conversations. They have the, that Cuban connection that we talk about. So I think he's been great in the dugout. But the dude rakes. I mean, you can watch his mind moving a little bit, much like Tucker, Alvarez, Brantley, Bregman. We've had the luxury of watching guys have phenomenal at-bats, and Abreu fits right into the mix. And he's going to continue to drive in runs. The number that jumped at me was the runners in scoring position career-wise right at 300,
Amazing.
Which is insane. That's my clutch number if you had one to kind of pull.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to fit in nicely. And to your point, when you do get a Brantley back and you start to move, it's just crazy to me that you can move Kyle Tucker and Jose Abreu deeper into this lineup. That's mind-boggling to me, because I guarantee you there's 27 to 29 teams out there going, man, that guy would be hitting 2, 3, 4 for me if they were in our lineup. And here they are hitting 6, 5, and 6. It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. And also just on one other thing on Abreu, I was at his opening day press conference. The first thing the guy does, comes into the room, seeks out every Chicago reporter, because it was the White Sox, and was like, hey, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for everything. He is a good, genuinely good dude. And also, by the way, he definitely speaks English. Do not be fooled. I saw him around the clubhouse talking to people in perfect English, and then he comes out there with a translator, which I feel like, speaking of comfort blankets, I feel like that's a good one. But that dude, he speaks, his English is just fine. But
is it the same way though with like G-Man Choi? How G-Man Choi can speak perfect English, but he's kind of keeping his translator around to like give him a job. You know what I'm saying?
Probably, but the translator is the Astros translator, right, Plummer? The guy they have a guy that does sort of everybody that I've seen. I forget his name, but I just think Abreu seems like a good dude.
Jin Loy, I think is his name.
Yeah, that's right. And and like that guy, Abreu, he's you can clearly see he just like right into the lineup, right into the locker room, no problems, no issues. I mean, we talked about this before on the podcast about how we haven't even really talked about him. Like, he hasn't even been. And they talk about in other sports, like in football, they say a great offensive lineman is someone who you just never hear his name, right? All they do is do a good job, and you never hear from them. That's this guy. He just shows up, plugs himself in, hits whatever he's hitting right now, 340 something, and just is like, cool, I'm good. And the Astros like, all right, thanks, appreciate that. That's impressive. That's impressive, man. Let's move on here I want to talk a little bit about the bullpen, because Blummer, you brought this up earlier. So obviously, as you mentioned, the Astros are not built really for putting, other than Ronel Blanco, throwing guys out there for multiple innings. I heard you guys.
You can't forget Seth Martinez.
Right, that's right.
He's been in some tough spots, man. Seth is good, dude. He's found himself in some tough pockets of lineups and multiple innings too. I'm with you.
Yeah, he really has. I'm curious. You guys mentioned this on the broadcast the other day about how rosters had been expanded to 14 pitchers. Do you think this is something Major League Baseball needs to look at? I mean, I know they're considering tweaks to some of the rules here and there. And I know Rob Manfred is not one of our favorite people, but do we think that this is something that should be considered, like, for next year? Because obviously, coming out of spring training, some of these guys they just weren't ready. Nobody's stretched out enough. I mean, how should they handle that?
Ladies?
Yeah, go for it. Tell us what you think.
So I know I'm not going to talk about the Astros right now, but I'm going to talk about a situation that I saw last night in Merrill Kelly last night with the Diamondbacks. Okay. They're talking about his pitch count. They're talking about he's just now getting up to where he can throw 95, 100 pitches. And he talked about he didn't really have some great outings in the World Baseball Classic. So I think that has something big to do with it. So I kind of like Blummer said earlier, I'm also not in panic mode. The boys don't really get hot early. They're just known for that. But I kind of feel the same way with our starters. So I don't know about expanding. I think it kind of takes away from the game. It kind of takes away from your position. So, but yeah, I'm not really panicking right now. I don't really know about the whole expanding thing.
To speak to that, I think maybe it would be a good idea to have a couple of long men and maybe put them in those situations, like the Ronel Blancos, the Seth Martinez's, the guys that you think that maybe you can stretch out to starters later on and that have that starting potential, and then kind of showcase them in that way. And hopefully maybe sometime they can either move up into your starting rotation, a la Christian Javier, or, maybe be a trade piece later on to some other team or something like that. But, I see both sides of the coin of, trying to keep the pitchers healthy, the bullpen healthy, and then, but also some, gamesmanship on strategy and whatnot. So, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I see benefits and minuses to both.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that jumped out to me was, obviously I'm biased. We're all biased towards the Astros. We want them to have successful starts. And one of the things last season in that 2022 season was how good the pitching was out of the chute.
Yeah.
They did an amazing job of eating up innings, keeping games close, and the offense was just doing enough to win those ball games. And I was talking to Joe Espada before, I think it was game 3 or 4 of this season. And I went down there. I'm like, man, bullpen's out of whack. They're, finding themselves in some weird situations. And Joe even admitted, we're having a tough time trying to figure out how to cover innings and how to put guys in spots to succeed. And he reminded me, because speaking of Rob Manfred, the lockout last season kind of suppressed spring training a little bit, and they did adjust for that. And they did bring 14 pitchers on a roster for that first month of April.
Yeah.
May 1st, they had to cut the roster by a pitcher, but it does open the opportunity to bring maybe a BLAC onto the ball club and just say, look, you're here for protection. If we get late in the game and we don't have guys that we want to run out there, I'm sorry, but you're going to be the guy. But it's also, like you said, Suzy, it's an opportunity for these guys to be on a big league roster, get the opportunity, maybe pitch well enough to stay, pitch well enough to play for one of the 29 other teams. But I do think that there should be a little bit of protection on these guys, because in this day and age, we know that the Astros are freaks as far as starters compared to the other 29 teams. There aren't many teams that have pitchers with expectations of going at least 6 every game. Every other team would love to have that 14th guy because they don't pitch to 3 times through the order.
Yeah, it is a fascinating thing that the Astros have, 5 guys right now. When McCullers does return, and I just read yesterday that he's ahead of schedule, which is always good to know, you're going to have 6 guys in the rotation. Now, obviously, we've talked about this, Blum. We don't expect the health that the Astros had last year. There were only, was there 7 or 8 starters? I can't remember that for the entire season. 8 for the whole season, just unheard of. So we can't possibly
expect they forced
that.
Hunter Brown into the rotation.
Right?
They didn't have to put him in there.
No, that's exactly right. It probably should have been 7. And one of those was Jake Odorizzi. It's like, in case we've forgotten, so it's like, you can't.
I tried to forget. I tried to forget.
Well, he's the Rangers' problem now.
Look, they're trying to hedge their bets. Okay, they have 93 starters, and none of them are going to go longer than 20 innings. So just
DeGrom.
Give the Rangers a little.
I love all of the prognosticators who are like, Jake DeGrom could be like the Cy Young Award winner in the AL. I'm like, he could. It's possible, but.
In the month of April.
But,
yes, for sure.
But I'm not going to bet on it. It's like you and I have talked on here before, Blum. It's like, would I bet on it? No. It's like, would you take him or would you take the field? I'm taking the field. There's just no way. So, I feel like the Astros are in just a great position there. But you're right. When you build a bullpen around a staff that's meant to go that long, you're going to probably have some problems at certain points, particularly early in the season. What have y'all seen Suzy and Shelby, what have y'all seen so far this season that either intrigues you or terrifies you? What have been your impressions of the first week?
So I'm actually going to talk about two things. So we did like way too early projections, and I think that Alex Bregman, I love Alex Bregman this year, like the dad power. I'm not panicking because I've seen the guy make great adjustments. We saw in those last couple games, he's choking up on the bat a little bit, swing shortened up, he's going opposite field. And that really impressed me personally. Yep. Because it's really hard to make in-game adjustments like that. And so, I mean, I think Alex Bregman is showing that he is a professional hitter. So I'm pretty excited what he's going to do in these upcoming weeks. Another guy that's, I'm sure Suzy will agree with me, Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker last year did not come out on a hot streak. He picked up right where he left off. 30 for 30 season, definitely going to happen. We picked this out a couple months ago. With the disengagement rules, I'm super excited for Kyle Tucker this year.
Can we just all agree that the World Baseball Classic locked Kyle Tucker in? Ooh. Kyle Tucker said, "Hey, guess what? Like I needed just a little adrenaline rush. I needed a little something to get my juices flowing because April's a little boring. Hello, World Baseball Classic. Let me just light my world on fire, and then we got to go play regular games now. I'll just keep this juice. We're good. I have been here from the very beginning of Kyle Tucker, and the evolution of Kyle Tucker is astounding. And I'm preparing myself for when, because all the other teams, because we all knew for a couple of seasons now that other teams, other people, other even intelligent baseball people just were sleeping on Kyle Tucker. And now everybody sees the amazingness that is Kyle Tucker, and I'm all, oh, Kyle Tucker, like... I have to prepare myself mentally and emotionally for when...
You got a few seasons. He goes
left. To get his bag, Suzy.
It's going to take that long, though. It's going to take that long for me to
understand.
Really prepare myself.
I was talking to somebody the other day at opening day who was like, they just don't think Kyle Tucker... It's not that he doesn't want to re-sign with the Astros. They just don't think he wants an extension. He wants to test free agency, which who can blame him? I mean, with the money they're throwing around, I would want to test free agency.
Dude's going to get paid.
He's going to get... They're going to back up a Brinks truck for that guy. Blum and I have talked about Kyle Tucker. We think he's going to have a huge year this year. Could it possibly be that we have two guys in the MVP race? I mean, between him and Alvarez,
I think Kyle Tucker is going to give Yordan a run for his money. As of right now, Kyle Tucker, I think, leads Yordan in pretty much all of the categories except for hard hit rate.
Yeah,
and I'm all, I'm sorry, Kyle Tucker, what? Because Kyle Tucker's amazing. But you don't expect those kind of numbers. Well, the biggest thing and the big separation between those two is defense, really. I mean, Kyle Tucker is obviously the superior Gold Glove winning defender, and he continues to be that good. But man,
and base runner.
And base runner. Yeah. Oh man, the pitch clock has just changed the dynamic.
Suzy and Shelby hit on that. Suzy and Shelby hit on that. That was this is advantage Tucker.
I mean, I just feel like he's going to be he's already having a good year, but I think he's going to have a huge year. I think him and Alvarez.
I feel like compared to last season, he just has a different presence. Because I know I saw last year, when he was struggling, you could see the frustrations. He was throwing the bat. I remember a particular early series at Globe Life in Arlington. He had a horrible series.
Completely agree.
It was brutal, but he came in ready to go. I mean. He looks confident. He looks smooth. I mean, it's like butter in the box right now.
Butter in the box?
No, but like you said,
butter in the box,
presence,
smooth like butter, baby.
Yeah, but you said, his bat is moving through the zone like a hot knife through butter too, man. The way he's swinging the bat, but you said presence, and I think you're right. I think there's a little more malicious intent and understanding of what he can do in the box now. And I think that's where that transition from Kyle Tucker just kind of being a guy is to the guy. That's where he's kind of developed a little bit, is that mentality and the expectation of being the guy.
That's a great point about just his presence. I mean, we talked earlier this week about how when Yordan is up, it's just must see baseball. We were talking this morning about the Masters and how when Tiger is in the tee box, it's like must-see golf even now. And, with Alvarez, it's kind of the same thing. It's getting to be that way with Tucker as well. You just feel like every time one of those two guys is in the box, something magic is going to happen. And it's just freaking great. I mean, it's just great. I mean, I say that, I remember watching when I was a kid, watching some of the great teams of, any great team from any sport. And you're just like, even if you weren't a fan, you're just like, holy crap, did you see what the Lakers did? Or whatever. It feels like that with the Astros. They have these guys that are just, ugh. I mean, and don't worry about Kyle Tucker leaving. Come on now. We still got some years to go on that one.
I understand. But like I said, it's going to take that long for me to mentally and emotionally prepare myself for when this is what I kind of compare it to. So I don't know if you guys know, I am a recent baseball convert. I only started liking baseball in 2018.
Wow.
Literally the 2017 World Series. I fell asleep during Game 5, and my husband had to literally wake me up screaming, "Alex Bregman walked it off in the 10th." Wait, I'm like, you said words that individually I understand, and then you strung them together in a sentence, and I don't know what you mean by that. Like what?
Wow.
And so literally 2018, I became a baseball fan, and then 2021, I just jumped just hard, just all in, right? So going back to this, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, how is Carlos? How are you not going to let Carlos Correa stay here in Houston?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, And everyone that had been an Astros fan for years are so mad when Carlos Correa left. Right, like they had that deep hurt inside. That is how I will feel when Kyle Tucker eventually gets his bag somewhere. That is how I feel. Shelby knows, because Shelby had that pain with Carlos Correa, and she also will have this pain for Kyle Tucker. But that is how I will feel.
But something that I've thought about this week, and you guys can tell me, I've got to watch quite a bit of ball. The Astros are so good at getting guys in their prime. I feel like we got Correa in his prime. We got Springer in his prime. I don't think they'll ever be like that again. So I kind of trust the moves that they might make. I mean, I like Dana Brown. I think Dana Brown was a good move. But yeah, I mean, like, they're prime guys. So now I'm not as sad about Carlos Correa anymore. It was an in-the-moment thing. I mean, like,
that beautiful specimen at shortstop is okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Are you fully on the Jeremy Pena train? Because I've been fully on the Jeremy Pena train from the very beginning, ma'am. So
yeah, I am.
That's impressive.
He's, the thing that is so impressive about Jeremy Pena is just how who just shows up in the Major League Baseball and is like, I just kind of and it's not that he didn't struggle at times as a rookie. He certainly did, but it's just that evenness about his play, like that thing where, baseball is such a long season and you just got to kind of keep it even. How many times did we hear Biggio, talk about that in the day? It's like, you can't get too up, you can't get too down. You just got to take it one game at a time. It's like, oh God, not again. But it's like, that's what Pena is. And it's remarkable to be that young and to be Blum. Were you like that? Were you just come in all nice and even when you came into?
Hell no, I snapped. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Blummer was like a Bo Jackson break the bat over the knee kind of guy. I was going to say,
sure. How many bats did you break over your knee?
I was selective snaps. I would do it underneath in the tunnel where nobody could see it. But when you're not getting regular at bats, like I wouldn't, and I didn't play in April too much in my career. I would freak out after every at bat. But but that is also a credit to guys like Alex Bregman and Kyle Tucker in years past. In these April moments where you see them struggle a little bit. Alex reminded me of this when I had a conversation with him last year. He was talking about certain things he's working on in his swing. And he said, you know what? I don't panic because I know I've got 4 at-bats to work on this during the game. And I was like, you son of a bitch. Of course you do. I never had that opportunity. I had to know what I was doing before I got in the box. But Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, they'll go in there with the intent of, okay, I'm not covering the pitch away. He's going to pitch me away. I'm going to see what I can do with it. And if I don't do it in my first at-bat, I'll try it again in my second at-bat. So you can kind of work things out a little bit. And I think that's where there's a little envy on my side because these guys are so good, number one. They continue to get better every year. But they also have the mentality of, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to get my at-bats. And we all 4 of us know at the end of the season on the back of the baseball card, it's going to be 280. It's going to be 20 to 25. It's going to be 75 to 100. And that's what's amazing about these guys is that they do not panic. And that's the hardest thing in baseball because in this day and age of knee-jerk reactions, social media, 24/7 coverage of everything.
Yeah.
You want to panic and you want to freak out and you want to know why. And in baseball, you don't know the why until the end of the season. So you know that they struggled early on to get things right so that they can finish strong. And the Astros actually look at their seasons as not April through September. They look at it April through October, and that's where their mindset is at. And that's what I love about these guys. They're thinking past the last part of the season. They're thinking into the postseason.
Well, a lot of credit has got to go to Alex Cintron and all those guys that work with them. I mean, they really, those
are some key off-season signings right there.
Yeah, well, we talk about the pitching coaches. We all know about Josh Miller and the other guy's name I never can remember, and I'm sorry for that.
Bill Murphy.
Bill Murphy, thank you. We talk about those guys all the time because of how the Astros really have just transformed pitchers when they come here. We don't talk a lot about the fact that the Astros, their hitting program into the minor leagues, I mean, where they place value on making contact and getting on base and, barreling the ball. I mean, all these things that we see then come to fruition when these guys get to the major leagues, like Jeremy Pena and Kyle Tucker and whomever else. It's a huge credit to them that they've done this and that they've been able to sustain it for as long as they have through as many different players that have come through here as they have. It's really impressive. I do want to talk about stealing for a minute because there was a great article about how where we haven't seen the explosion in steals that some people think we have. Like it's interesting. There was Theo Epstein, who was one of the father of a lot of these rules, was talking about how even though it feels like it, he goes, per game, the number of steals or whatever is only up a tiny percentage. It's very, very small. But the success rate is way up. And so Steve Sparks brought up on the broadcast the other day, said, what are we going to have to now adjust our caught stealing percentage to? Is it 20%? Right? Like, what is a good caught stealing percentage? Right? And with all Blummer and Suzy and Shelby, I want you to weigh in on this as well. Like, everybody talks now about how guys can see the pitch clock. And they can time their stuff to the pitch clock. Is that like as big a deal as it seems to be, or is this just the bags are bigger? What's all going on with that? Because it's kind of incredible.
I'm still trying to understand why the bases grew. I don't understand that, but yeah.
Hey, just like we said on our show when the rules first came out, everybody needs an extra 3 inches. Okay, like that's just.
I don't have an argument for that.
I nearly did a spit take just then. I just want you guys to know I have no comment.
That's something we would not have talked about on our podcast.
No, that definitely. Woo! That
is on a shirt, by the way. That is on a shirt, by the way.
It is.
Nice. Well, that's going to make our social media. So congrats, Suzy.
Yeah, that's definitely Instagram is going to fire up after that one for sure.
My husband will be so proud. But I mean when the rules first came out, though, I was thinking that the bigger bags were going to have a major advantage on it. But like I think we talked about it too. I don't think it's as much that as it is the disengagements and the pitch clock and timing of the running, especially with all of the smart base stealers as it is. They're just going to time that up and just be like, oh, okay. They've already picked over. 5 seconds, done. Let's go. And so, with the whole bigger bases, less injuries in the minor leagues, all that fun stuff, it is what it is. But I think it's the disengagements really, and that pitch clock having it be everywhere and everyone being aware of how much time is left that is going to affect it.
Yeah, and I think too, it's going to be fun to see people adjust. So like we've seen some pitchers adjust when they need more time. They just do their first disengagement, right? When they feel a little rush, they disengage. They do the pickoff. So it's going to be fun to see how they see runners start to pace, runners start to get their jumps. Lifting your leg with 1 second left. Okay, what if they adjust? Okay, now I lift my leg when there's 3 seconds left. What is the runner going to do? I think it's going to be fun. It's fun to see how people have played with the rule. But I also love, Tim Anderson, absolutely. went nuts, right? What he's still like three or four bags. But I love the pace of the game. I love to see how it's played. We saw a couple squeeze bunts this last week in baseball. It's a blast to watch. I love it.
Shout out Chaz McCormick.
Right.
My favorite center fielder. Stealing all the bags. Stealing all the bags. Shelby. Mm-hmm. All of them.
No, well, I had to talk about the first series, and your boy wasn't there, so.
Uh-oh. There's some trouble.
Sorry.
We're going to... So... If y'all want to come on Back That Astros Up and we can just fight about this later on, like that, because that's what Shelby and I are going to do after this.
We're about to hash it out for sure.
Oh my God! Well,
to Suzy's point, Chaz McCormick last season 4 steals, this season 3.
I mean,
I'm here for it.
And the disengagements, you're totally right. I mean, that seems to be like the biggest deal. Also, by the way, I'm surprised we haven't seen more pickoffs from the catcher. I'm surprised we haven't seen more snap throws to first. More snap throws to third. I don't know if it's just a consequence of who's on base and who's batting. I mean, depending on what side of the plate they're batting from. But I feel like that's going to be something. Blummer, what do you think they're going to do to slow the game down? I mean, everybody's talking about there's all these different things that guys can do, right? There's like sort of trickery and like whatever else. Have we seen anything yet that anybody's doing that we're like, okay, that could be one thing we could see them do?
No, I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more pitchers just take the 15 to 20 seconds and not even throw a pitch and take the ball if the count is in their favor. Because I think you're going to see guys rushed and they're going to feel like, okay, I'm ahead in the count. I'm breathing a little bit heavy. That guy's leading off first base. How about I just stand here for about 20 seconds, gather my breath, not expose what pitch I'm trying to set up by not even throwing a pitch. If I'm 0-2, I might just stand there and go, you know what? I'm going to check out the stands. I'm going to see what's going on over here. I'm going to rub the baseball up. Oh, ball 1 and 2. Okay, I'm ready to come back and engage and throw the pitch that the hitter's guessing on. Because if you throw that 0-2 pitch, an elevated fastball up in the zone, I'm like, oh, I just tried to change my eye level. He's probably going to try and get down in the zone with the off speed. Then you're kind of detailing what you might be doing later in the count. And if I just stand there, make you stand there, we all stand there, and I don't expose my hand and then throw a pitch. Maybe it's advantage pitcher. So I'm kind of waiting to see that, but I haven't seen the pitcher or seen the catcher hold on to the baseball, throw a baseball out, and do some of those things yet. But I would imagine there's something in the arsenal that they will break out in necessary situations to kind of stall the game. Oh, that we're in a dome stadium and that drop of rain fell in my eye. I need some time. Give me a break, that kind of thing.
Am I wrong in thinking that the first guy to hold the ball for a whole play when he's up and is going to be Zach Greinke? Am I wrong to think that he's going to he might just sit down on the mound cross-legged and wait,
I would have hated to slow down a little bit. It took me a whole freaking inning to go get a beer. I missed the whole inning, top and bottom, to go get a beer. I was like, okay, we gotta chill out a little bit here.
Amazing,
That's what you get for drinking beer at the ballpark. Shelby,
you can't. You
need to go and have 4 of them at the first time and just be there. It is.
Game of adjustants.
It is a game of adjustments.
Right. Well, they only serve you 2.
See,
they only serve you 2 at a time.
You need better friends.
Okay.
Exactly.
True that.
I mean, what is Olivia doing over there?
Come on now. You need better context.
It was my mom, so sorry,
Tell her
Mom.
to pull her weight, okay?
Nice. Well,
did you see that Zach Greinke start? That last Zach Greinke start against
loved it.
The
called his own pitches. Loved it.
Shook himself off.
Shook himself off, right?
And then was all very, very proud of himself when he actually did in fact strike him out.
I mean,
but I think it was in that last game that he basically just stood there until there was 3 seconds left or whatever, and then just froze the hitter. You're all, oh, okay, that's.
We haven't seen much of that. That's what I want to see too. Just hold until the last second and then come at him.
Yeah, boy, Zach Greinke is a freaking American treasure. I mean, that guy, he is just so weird and so different, and it's just great. And between him, there's a couple of guys I want to see Zach Greinke out of baseball. What's he going to do when he's out of baseball? What is that guy going to do with himself?
He's going to grow dreadlocks for sure. Definitely growing. Definitely
going to open
dreads.
a baseball school, but it's going to be one of those unorthodox baseball schools.
It's going to be fucking yoga mats.
Dodgeball.
Yoga mats everywhere.
Exactly.
Dreadlocks. It's going to be hippie vibe for sure.
Be one with the ball. That kind of stuff. Be the ball. Just like see the ball, be the ball. That's it.
I need Zach Greinke and James Karinchak in a room together, and I need to see that chaos.
That would be.
I need to see that chaos.
That's some serial killer shit right there, for sure.
Well, Suzy and Shelby, thank you so much.
I don't think I would want to be in that room.
No way. Thank you guys.
You're kind of peeking around the corner going, what?
For sure.
Are they still alive?
Imagine some of the weird combos you could get. Like, baseball is a different sport, man. It just is. Well, Suzy, Shelby, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. Obviously, you guys go listen to their 2 podcasts. I mean, how do you have time for? We barely have time for one. You guys are out there rocking 2 of them, which is impressive. So
I gotta show something off really quick. My Blummer signed baseball. Hey. Shout out. Appreciate it, man.
Yes.
Nice.
No, thank you.
That is sweet.
Yeah, if you can see up there, I have a patch.
Oh, nice.
That Marco sent me from Ram
Marco's
Shirts.
The best.
Shout out Ram Shirts.
Yeah, Ram Shirts is the best. Those guys, Mark is the best.
Yes. He made this special tee for me that says introverted but willing to discuss baseball. My tagline.
I like it.
Blummer, did you ever get a bobblehead made for you?
Nope, never.
Damn it, because my wall up there could probably stand a Blummer bobblehead. That's amazing. Hey,
no, I love.
It's your 50th
fans. I love when fans petition for the TK, Julia, and Blummer bobblehead. I love.
Why
that.
have we not seen that? That is insane.
I've seen the Brownie and JD one, and I tell you what, we've been here a decade now.
Oh,
I think
they need to do that. They need to do that.
Definitely time.
Where do we need to start the petition? Is there already a petition going?
I've seen it kind of on social media, like Twitter, every once in a while, but nothing actually coming of it.
Clearly, that's
for obvious reasons. The team's pretty good.
Okay.
Clearly, that needs to happen. What we need is a summer TK Blummer and Julia and a winter TK Blummer and Julia.
Yeah, where we've got our shirts up to here. We're like,
I'm definitely envisioning Blummer today and like a Kirk Herbstreit, fit on game day. He's always got like the coat and everything. Herb always looks great.
I'll be dressed up. I'm going to try and make it look good, even though I'm going to be freezing and shivering on the inside.
All right, thanks so much for y'all joining me and Blummer today.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. Love the podcast. It's super fun. And we will be listening, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, next time you guys can come on ours, and you can be a little bit more free flowing.
There we go.
With the F-bombs, because we don't get paid for our shit, so you can just let.
The truth is, there's this little switch on our podcast thing when it just says, "Do you mark it as explicit language?" And then you can just mark it. I mean, there have been a couple times where we've bleeped ourselves, I think, but whatever.
We've had our moments.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, no, we have full episodes where it's just there's it would be way too many bleeps.
My parents tuned into our last live show and they were like, Shelby, Elizabeth. They broke out the middle name and I was like,
oh no.
Oh yeah, and my dad was like, "Well, you got it from somewhere," and I'm like, "You're right, I did. You're right."
Thanks, Dad. Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, let's do it again.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks so much to Suzy and Shelby from Bourbon and Baseball, as well as Back That Astros Up, joining us today. That was super fun. We'll definitely need to do that again. They are hilarious. You can tell. Yeah, you can tell.
Passion is there,
and just the rapport between them. You can see.
Yeah.
It's clearly they have a thing, which is really awesome. Thanks everybody for joining us. Blummer, any final thoughts? It's Easter weekend. You're going to be freezing your butt off. I'm sorry about that. What else can we do for you? Can we send anything?
Well, no. You can just get me back to Houston as quick as possible. I know that you're having some rough weather down there too, but I'd much rather be in H-Town considering. But no, it's going to be a fun couple of days here in Minnesota. Yeah. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Masters Week. So many good things happening. All the attention is on the Astros and on baseball, which is where it should be. And I really think we're starting to turn that corner in April. We're going to see things kind of even out. We're going to see some good baseball. hand off the panic button. We've got a long way to go, and obviously you're going to be hanging with us, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, it is a long season, and look, it's gonna be great. I think there's no doubt this offense is gonna get scary. Mm-hmm. Just be ready for it when it happens. We'll be back with you next week for another fresh pod brought to you by Bet Online. Again, big thanks to Suzy and Shelby from Bourbon and Baseball and Back That Astros Up. Definitely go check them out. Find them on Twitter and take a listen. Huge thanks to all our listeners and viewers all over the place. You guys are always continually awesome, and we're up almost near 500 subscribers on YouTube now, Blummer.
There we go. Keep rolling.
Just keep on rolling. And thanks so much, everybody. Have a great, as we said, Easter, but Masters weekend, very important part of all of our lives, I think, especially Blummer. Look at that hat.
Oh, man, I'm repping. I've been there 4 times. I'm jealous I'm not there, but, man, I love me some Masters.
Your wife has been to the Masters more than you?
Yeah, she's gone like 6 or 7 times. Yeah, she's got a better schedule for Masters than I do.
Fair enough. That's right. So everybody have a great Easters and a great weekend, and we will see you next week. Go Astros.